These poems come to you from the unceded territory of the Esquimalt and Songhees nations in this little townhouse in Esquimalt. This is a section of a longer poem called Self-Portrait Around the House, and it has a headnote that goes like this. Everything you do in the way you do everything. Jerry Rothstein. In the kitchen. She has rainbowed ceramic knives from Costco that can't be sharpened and don't work well, and one bread knife, all-purpose. Le Creuset pots in red and green, burnt at the bottoms while she daydreams or reads. One iron skillet that works for everything. She has cookbooks she never opens, uses one recipe only for cookies, one for cake. One-of-a-kind dinner plates, meals, a work of art below, a mishmash above. In the cupboard, long-stem champagne glasses left over from a marriage. She never learned, never taught her daughter the joy of cooking. You'll never get a husband, her mother told her, if you can't cook. A deterrent to both cooking and marriage. In the office. This is where she is mostly. Sits on a pink exercise ball, ergonomically correct, in front of the computer. Bookshelves behind and in front of her, a window seat with books on the sill, two large toy drawers underneath, framed poems on the walls, glass doors to the garden. Morning and evening she types out her poems, wonders why these days she writes in third person. Is she hiding? Her personal self locked in one of the drawers of her desk, too embarrassed to appear? Point of view, one more tool she can use. Did she choose it? Or is it random, like the plants in their pots, the dishes on the shelves, the pillows thrown onto the couch? The choices she makes, what she keeps, what she throws out, the static verb she tosses for one with energy, more than she feels these days. Will they approve? She frets. Those who might hear, might read. She wants to cross that out too, but reminds herself, it is the truth. Leaves it in. This poem is from Borrowed Rooms, and it talks about the power really of objects and how objects can be symbolic, they can be almost mythical. This poem is called Things. She took everything from that house except the few things he asked for. His mother's Moorcroft vases, the new sofa, the boat key. She packed up the paintings, the pottery bowls and plates, the stone turtle. On the mantel of the new house, she placed the African sculpture called Woman, Thinking. Beside it, the Balinese dancer. The wooden spoons from Caslow hung from hooks in the kitchen. She would have things. They could have the power to hurt her, but they were beautiful. This poem is called Suitcase in the Closet. It's from this book, Narrow Bridge. And it is one of the poems that talks about the tension between wanting to be here and wanting to be elsewhere. So wanting to be in my little place or wanting to be with my daughter and grandson who used to live in Sweden. So, and this is based on a charcoal sketch I did a few years ago. Suitcase in the closet. I'm washing the dishes, the same dishes I've washed for years, the same dinner as last night, the same music playing on the stereo. This is comfort. Nothing new to toss my mind in many directions. The tiptoe girl who wants only to know what comes next. In the painting on the wall, the woman looks down her nose at me. There are taverns in Argentina where they dance the milonga all night. There is a man, watchful, looking for the right woman to dance with, somebody new, a little sparkle on the cold floor. I put each dish away, clear the table, Set a place for one, coffee cup and breakfast plate ready for the morning. Perhaps I'll go out for breakfast, up the Malahat, on the way to somewhere else. Perhaps I'll pack a lunch, see where the day finds me. The woman in the painting frowns. A lunch is not long enough. Pack a suitcase, leave the car at the airport. They say the light in Greece is like no other light. It will soften your skin, make your heart strong. Perhaps tomorrow I will buy a frisky little skirt, new sandals, some lingerie. I brush my teeth, pull back the covers, stretch out on the wide bed. One pillow is enough. In a tavern on Mykonos, a man sits drinking ouzo. His wife has died. All day he offers his boat for tourists. In the afternoon he reads English books to improve his mind. He too dreams of a suitcase. But the day is just another day, and the bed is just a bed. And the woman, her hair a cloud around her face, dances in a tavern somewhere in Argentina. And the man in Mykonos drinks ouzo, and the boat goes out in the morning and back every night. This poem is one of many poems that I've written about this adorable little tiny kindergarten that I know very little about. And it's called Betsuni. Betsuni is the Japanese word for nothing much. Betsuni. It's not an English garden, rows of roses, archways of scented wisteria. It's not a wildflower sanctuary, nor a hedged and manicured Italian garden with statues of gods and fountains. It's not an acreage, endless rows of kale, carrots, beets, zucchini, nor beds of herbs and lavender. There is nothing here that neighbors would marvel over, or gardening journals seek advice and interviews. It is a few feet of rock and lawn, 4 trees, a collection of planter pots. It teaches me the art of Betsuni, the thrill of just one yellow rose on a February morning, blooming despite snow and rain, poor soil, and neglect. Not what isn't here, but what is. The ordinary miracles. 5 different kinds of lichen on a stretch of rock, chicks and hens on another. The hawthorn that blossomed white in summer, red in winter, has died, but another grows beside it, along with the cedar sapling, blackberry brambles at their feet. One lone fuchsia, planted by the previous owner 20 years ago. How it thrives, drinking indifference with the rain. One hummingbird has made a home on a single branch. A solitary flicker pecks the lawn. A varied thrush flashes color beside the common crow. And even here, at midnight, a great horned owl, its solemn hoo-hoo punctuating the dark. And of course, the deer, lounging territorially on my lawn. This poem will introduce you to my amazing mother. She's about to turn 105, and she is the bane of the family, but also the wonder of the family. This poem is called How Do You Pronounce COVID? Oh, and she lives in Vancouver, and we call every day. How do you pronounce COVID? My mother asks when she finally remembers what she read minutes ago, and then forgets again. When will you come to visit me? She continues. I can't. The virus. What virus? What? There is nothing familiar for her to hang on to. Around her, the world slows to a speed she knows well. Take a walk, notice the leaves returning, the crows on the lawn. She used to bring breadcrumbs for them, but has forgotten that. When are you coming? When? The walls around me are greening, sun every morning, and the small seeds perk out of their peat pods. I am in kindergarten again. The roots go down, the leaves go up, and I sit on the back stairs, placing seeds, their stems still with their soil hats on, into larger pots. Spread out a little more as we spread out less, each in our small green pots, hoping for transformation. This is a favorite poem of mine, and it's also a favorite because it won a prize. It's a glossa, which is a form I really love to write in. And the 4 lines that it borrows are from W.S. Merwin's poem, Listen. So these are the 4 lines. We are saying thank you faster and faster. With nobody listening, we are saying thank you. We are saying thank you and waving, dark though it is. Nevertheless, for the brief snowfall that salts the cedar branch, for the rain that follows, for daffodils straining to lift their green hoods, for cut tulips on the pine table, for the few days left until spring, for the light lingering a bit longer each day and Christmas lights still sparkling on city trees, for brief moments of sunshine through dark cloud, for the scent of things to come, we are saying thank you faster and faster, because nothing lasts. The hard lesson. That summer riding the trains in Europe, city squares, a texture of brick and cobblestone, the gleaming Duomo, narrow streets where I wandered, hoping to remember everything. Because one brief night in Amalfi, jasmine and the sound of wind in the olive trees. Nothing lasts. The colors fade like old fresco, the taste of gelato slides from the tongue. With nobody listening, we are saying thank you, though we seldom hear the call of the roseate tern or the piping plover, and never the ivory-billed woodpecker. Though the California condor, whose huge wings shadow the hills, returns tentative, and though the western black rhino is gone, and soon the northern white rhino, Sumatran tiger, mountain gorilla, long lists categorized, vulnerable, threatened, extinct. Yet each winter the hummingbird returns to the hawthorn, the rhododendron to the bush, and we are saying thank you and waving to the deer nesting under the Gary oak, the rare sharp-shinned hawk on the fence post, the star magnolia pressing her white blooms against the window, to the many acts of kindness from neighbors and strangers, to the new words on toddlers' tongues, the cat curled under the bed, the dog at the door hoping, to the lovers gone and the ones who return for an occasional drink, for old time's sake, for the sake of the future, dark though it is.